Number 8. Old rich man vs. young hot wife. 77-year-old Kazuki Nasaki was a pretty controversial figure. He was known for being a self-made millionaire in Japan who only desired beautiful women that were much younger than him and nothing else. He even published an autobiography called The Man Who Gave 3 billion yen to 4,000 Beautiful Women. At one point in Kazuki's autobiography, he talked about a model that helped him up after he tripped at Haneda Airport. That woman was 25-year-old Saki Sudo, who ended up marrying Kazuki after he offered her 1 million yen for marriage. Saki Sudo had always been obsessed with money ever since she was in high school. Her classmates reported that she always had the most expensive high-end bags and clothes. She was able to purchase these expensive accessories by working as a prostitute during the night. Although they were married, Saki was barely ever with Kazuki in Wakayama and preferred to spend most of her time at her apartment in Tokyo. She traveled all around the world from Bali to Italy using the money that Kazuki would give her every month. On May 24, 2018, just a few months after he got married to Saki Sudo, Kazuki Nasaki was found dead in his own home around 9 p.m. The only other people that were at his house was Saki and one of Kazuki's housekeepers, who has been working for him for over 30 years. Kazuki's cause of death was acute poisoning from a lethal amount of stimulant drugs. However, he never actually took any stimulant drugs, so there was no way that he did this to himself. According to Saki, Kazuki went upstairs to the bedroom after eating dinner together. She went to check up on him around 8 p.m. once their housekeeper came home and asked her to. The police declared his death to be a homicide and started investigating right away. They questioned Saki and the housekeeper. When they checked the security cameras of his residence, they found that no one had entered or left the house. The housekeeper came inside the residence only after Kazuki had already died. So, the only person that was near him was his own wife, Saki. The police didn't have enough evidence to arrest Saki right away, but soon they found out that Saki had actually been researching the very drug that killed Kazuki. She literally looked up how to kill someone. Detectives also discovered messages with a drug dealer who gave her the drug to kill Kazuki. Saki tried to escape, but authorities caught her just in time. Saki Sudo was arrested and charged with the murder of Nozaki Kazuki and for violating the stimulant drug control law. She is currently awaiting her trial. Number 7. Eye drop dead. On January 16, 2020, a South Carolina nurse was arrested for poisoning her husband by putting eye drops into his water for 3 days. 64-year-old Stephen Clayton died in July of 2018 in their house near Lake Wiley. The wife had also hit his phone, so Stephen couldn't call anyone for help either. 53-year-old Lana Sue Clayton said that she never meant to kill her husband. She just wanted to make him uncomfortable. However, prosecutors didn't buy her story at all. They believe she intentionally killed her husband so she could inherit all his money. Stephen Clayton was a successful businessman worth millions, and he lived in a massive and fancy house. Initially, everyone thought that Stephen actually died from a fall. However, a toxicology report said otherwise. It showed extremely high levels of tetrahydrozoline, an ingredient found in eye drops. Lana tried to make herself seem like the victim by saying she's been abused by her husband since they got married, but prosecutors ended up dismissing all of her claims. Judge Paul Birch said that the case was one of the weirdest ones he's ever seen. He's also said that if Lana was actually being abused, she could have just left her husband and informed the authorities instead of straight up killing him. Apparently, Lana had actually destroyed her husband's will right after she killed him, so that she would be the one to get all his money. Lana Sue Clayton ended up getting charged with manslaughter and sentenced to 25 years in prison. It'd be murder. Number 6. Roach Killer. On January 12, 2021, 70-year-old Sancha Tenerva poisoned her husband's coffee with a roach killer. The incident took place in Queens, New York. He was also caught by surveillance camera. Sancha was seen adding a powdery substance to her husband's coffee. Later on, it was discovered that the ant and roach killer allegedly contained 100% boric acid. According to the Queens District Attorney, Sancha had put the insecticide into her husband's drink on multiple occasions, so this wasn't the first time she did something like this. According to Tenerva, she did this in order to teach him a lesson. Once 63-year-old Robert Barron saw the footage, he immediately went to the nearest police station to report his wife. According to police, Robert said that he noticed his food tasting weird and that he usually felt awful after his meals. He also reported that he was feeling more tired than normally and would sleep for over 15 hours at a time. Because of this, Robert started getting suspicious of his wife, so he decided to install some cameras into their kitchen, which is how he ended up catching his wife pouring boric acid into all his drinks and food. Boric acid is usually used to kill pests and insects, but when consumed by humans, it can cause nausea, diarrhea, or even death. Suncha Tenerva was charged with attempted assault and could face up to 4 years in prison for her crimes. Number 5. You talk too much. On December 7, 2021, 54-year-old Alvis Parrish poisoned her boyfriend by putting Seroquel in his lemonade in order to shut him up. She had been living with her boyfriend, William Carter, for over 9 years. According to Parrish, she gave him just enough of the drug to make him stop talking, but still keep him alive. She actually ended up calling the authorities so he wouldn't die and confessed to everything. The deputy that arrested Parrish said that she was talking in a slur and seemed intoxicated. The same officer said that Carter seemed extremely lethargic when he got to the scene. According to Carter, he thought the lemonade tasted kind of weird, but never thought his long-term girlfriend had tried to poison him. Carter didn't actually want to go to the hospital at first, but ended up needing to go to the emergency room after he collapsed on the floor. Alvis Parrish faces charges of poisoning food and water with the intent of injuring or murdering someone and is currently being held on a $50,000 bond. Do you think this couple will stay together after this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button if you haven't already. Number 4. BENADRYL murder. In March 2018, Larry Eisenberg was found dead in Lake Coeur d'Alene in North Idaho, and his wife, 66-year-old Lori Eisenberg, has been accused of poisoning her own husband to death and then throwing his body in the river. According to Lori, her husband fell off the boat while he was trying to fix the motor. Everyone just thought Larry had drowned. However, the autopsy said otherwise. The report revealed that Larry had actually died from a lethal amount of BENADRYL, and he actually showed no signs of drowning at all. Before Lori murdered Larry, they actually went to the river where she checked the water depth, tides, waves, and currents. Right after Larry died, she sent herself, her sister, and her daughters all the money from their joint account. Lori and Larry seemingly had the perfect marriage, according to everyone around them. Larry's son said that they were absolute soulmates and that he fully trusted her. This wasn't the only crime Lori ever committed, though. She had actually been stealing money from the place where she worked, a nonprofit organization that was helping low-income families. She embezzled over $500,000, but she was too scared of her husband finding out and divorcing her, so she decided to kill him instead. In court, she said, "I was an emotional and physical wreck. That day on the lake, I was not thinking very well. I do not remember details. It was a blur of shock and horror and confusion." But the judge and jury didn't give a crap, and Lori Eisenberg was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of her husband. Number 3. Heart condition. Stacy Hunsucker has been married to her husband Joshua for 8 years. The couple shared 2 beautiful daughters and had a pretty decent life, aside from Stacy having a major heart condition. She had to use a pacemaker to keep her heart rate stable all the time. Apart from that, she was a perfectly healthy woman until one day in September 2019 when she died of an apparent heart attack. Her husband Joshua was the one to call it in, saying that he was working on his laptop, turned around to see Stacy slumped on the couch without a pulse. While her death made sense because of her heart condition, lots of red flags began popping up. The first one was that even though Stacy was an organ donor, Joshua ended up refusing on her behalf and said that he didn't want her body to be all cut up. He ended up getting her body cremated within hours of her death, and before anyone else could step in or do anything. Joshua also collected a $250,000 payout from the life insurance that was in Stacy's name. Days later, he started dating someone from his office. He never displayed any signs of grief, but it was when a private company where Stacy signed up to be an organ donor, revealed something strange in her blood samples, that things really took a turn. Stacy's blood had toxic amounts of tetrahydrozoline, a chemical that can be found in eye drops. Authorities believed that Joshua had slowly been poisoning his wife by putting the drops in her water. Joshua was arrested 3 months after Stacy's death and is still awaiting trial, and Stacy's cause of death has been updated from being a heart attack to a homicide. Number 2. Man poisons wife's ice cream. On June 25, 2018, 64-year-old Peggy Pettis passed away suddenly after having a bowl of ice cream. Her husband, David Petty, called 911 and told them that his wife had fainted and that she was blue and not breathing. When the paramedics arrived, they pronounced her dead on the scene. David claimed that he had been napping, and when he woke up, Peggy was already the way he found her. He also told the paramedics that he was shocked because she had recently been to the doctors for a complete health checkup, and they gave her the okay. As the investigators were going through all of the medication in their home, they found hydrocodone and trazodone, both of which were later found in Peggy's system in lethal amounts. After the discovery, David told the detectives that Peggy used to take hydrocodone pills for pain management, but since she had a hard time swallowing pills, she'd grind them up and sprinkle them on top of ice cream and follow them with an alcoholic drink. Sounds like a good idea. Not. The toxicology report confirmed that ice cream, hydrocodone, trazodone, and BENADRYL were in her system, but there was no alcohol. Upon investigation, it was found that David was the sole benefactor of a life insurance policy that was in Peggy's name that went into effect 3 days before her death. As soon as her death was ruled an accident, he took the payout and thought that he had gotten away with the money, but the law caught up to him. He had sprinkled the medication on top of the ice cream bowl that night and killed his own wife, all for a payout. On January 12, 2022, David was found guilty and sentenced to 25 years in prison for the murder of his wife. And number 1, sleep forever. A man from Michigan was arrested after he repeatedly poisoned his wife's coffee with sleeping pills back in August of 2019. The man was identified as 46-year-old Brian Kozlowski. Apparently, he decided to start adding sleeping pills to her drink after she filed for divorce. Clearly, he didn't want her to leave him. Prosecutors think that he started doing it as revenge. The man's wife, Therese, went to the authorities and told them that she had been feeling extremely tired recently, to the point where she almost fell asleep on the highway. She also said that she felt particularly nauseous after her husband made her coffee. Later on, Therese started getting suspicious of him and decided to put hidden cameras all over their kitchen. Throughout the surveillance camera footage, she found that Brian had been putting something in her drinks. He had been doing it for weeks on end. However, the last time Brian made coffee for her, he added 8 sleeping pills, which could have killed her. Luckily, she didn't drink it. In June of 2018, Brian pled guilty to poisoning his wife. According to his attorney, Brian was feeling profound remorse and was in a dark place when he committed all those crimes. He was later sentenced to 60 weekends in prison, along with 5 years probation. Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith was not having it and said the sentence felt like a slap on the face. According to his now ex-wife, Therese Kozlowski, she thinks that Brian's been doing this with the intent to kill her. It was also found that Brian had actually been urinating in Therese's shampoo and conditioner too. Gross. Thanks for watching. Which of these stories did you find the craziest? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to hit subscribe for more. See you next time.